All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be doing my top 10 modern authors, science fiction, fantasy authors, modern authors countdown. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I've done my top 10 forgotten fantasy authors countdown, my top 10 forgotten science fiction authors countdown, wherein I listed my top 10 favorite forgotten fantasy and science fiction authors. And by when I mean forgotten, I meant stuff that was published in the 70s, 80s, and 1990s that maybe people don't talk about anymore. So I thought it was only fair if I do a top 10 list of modern authors that I really like and that I've collected. So here's the rules for this list. To me, a modern author, like the forgotten authors were all 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. To me, modern means anything after 2000. I know some of you watching this weren't even born until like 2005. So to you, it all seems ancient. But to me, an old man, anything after 2000 seems modern. I mean, I still think that Guns N' Roses is a new rock band. To me, they're just a new rock band. That's how old I am. So the rule is these are authors that have published stuff after the year 2000 or so, and to me they're modern, and they have to be in my collection. They have to be books that I read and like, that I have in my collection that I can show you. So that is the rules of the list. So let's get to the top 10. Now I did have, and I will be honest, I had about 7 honorable mentions that I couldn't leave off the list. So let's get to the honorable mentions first. And these, like I said, these are all authors that had their books, their debut books published after the year 2000. And so let's get to it. Let's get to my honorable mention modern author top 10 list. And I'm just going to start off with Brent Weeks. This trilogy, the Assassin trilogy, what is it called? I don't know what the name of it is. The Night Angel trilogy came out probably about 17 years ago, I think, which would put it in the 2000s. So Brent Weeks, his trilogy, he comes in as one of my honorable mentions. We'll put him up on the shelf there. And then these books came out maybe about 10 years ago, and I like this science fiction trilogy by Mike Brooks. Starting with, it's the Kiko. I don't know what the name of the trilogy is, but it is the Kiko trilogy. Dark Run, great covers though. Let's see, we got Dark Sky and Dark. They're very good epic space opera-y science fiction books. Very little known too. I'd say they were even forgotten, even if they're modern. Okay, and then I also got, and I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, Bradley Bailu, his 12 Kings of Sherakai. This series is called, not sure what the series is called exactly. Should have done my research on this. Might be here on the inside. The book 1 of the Song of the Shattered Sands. So we're going to do, and I've got all 6 books in this series. Very good series. Bradley Bailu. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Let me know. Well, anyway, I know I'm mispronouncing it. We'll just say that. Okay, and then this one comes in. This is a really popular series, a modern popular series. Science fiction, space opera. Of course, Pierce Brown's Red Rising series is going to be, he's one of our top modern science fiction fantasy authors as of late. Another one of my honorable mentions. I said I had 7, so that was 1, 2, we're doing 3, 4. This is the 5th one. And that is Wesley Chu, his Art of Prophecy, book 1 of the War of Arts saga. This is a great, magnificent trilogy. I have them all, and they are beautiful books, by the way. And I did get them signed A lot of these books I'm going to show you, I did meet the authors and get signed. So I had it signed by the author, and the artist that did the wonderful covers, signed it too. Got him signed at Brandon Sanderson's Dragon Steel conference. Okay, another modern author. This guy got his books published. Not only did he get these books published in the 2000s, but he was only like 15 years old when he got them published. And so I'm going to put in the honorable mentions Aragon by Christopher Paolini. He is one of our top 10. And I also did a panel. I did a panel with him, a writing panel in Phoenix at the Phoenix Comic Con. And he met me and he signed my book for me. So got another signed book there. I always show off. I always name drop like I'm. And then my last honorable mention is going to be Samantha Shannon. I think she does a great job with this. Right now it's a duology. I do believe there's a prequel little novel that goes to this series, but The Priory of the Orange Tree. I don't think this book was marketed towards me or for me or anything like that, but I just loved the cover so much that I bought the series, and it's just a beautiful book. And I did read this and leave a review on it a few years ago. So Samantha Shannon comes in as an honorable mention. Hooray! Let's get to the top 10. What are my top 10 ranked favorite modern science fiction and fantasy authors? Let's get to it. So, top 10 list here now. Starting at number 20 in the top 10. Number 20, I'm going to go with Nicholas Ames and the Kings of the Wild and the Bloody Rose. Nicholas Ames books came out almost the same day as my books came out. Same time Forgetting Moon came out, the Kings of the Wild came out. Nicholas Ames starts off our top 10 list at number 20 as one of my favorite science fiction fantasy authors of the modern era. Now this one I don't know, this one might not belong on the list, because I think the first few novels he published were actually in the late 1990s and not in the 2000s. But I did look, this book, which I think is the first book he wrote, was published in the year 2000. So I put him on the list, and that is Alastair Reynolds, his magnificent space operas. He's got so many books, though. I'm just holding up one of his books. This is book number 1 in about a 5-book series. This is a Revelation Space series. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, absolutely fantastic writer, science fiction. I put him in the list. He's probably the one person that doesn't really belong on the modern list because he's kind of older, but whatever. Can't change it now. Maybe I'll edit that out. I don't know. Number 18, coming in at number 18 is James Islington. He's got a couple of good series, and this one also came out about the same time mine did. So this is the Licanius trilogy, and then he's got also The Will of the Many, and this is the Hierarchy Book 1. So James Islington comes in at number 18 in my top 10 science fiction fantasy authors of all time. Coming in at number 17 is one of my very good friends. Guy lives in Utah near me. I see him 2-3 times a year at different events. And that is Larry Correia. I've got his wildly popular Monster Hunter books right here. And then, of course, his Son of the Black Sword, which is the first book in his 6-book saga of the Forgotten Warrior saga. And the great books. Also, Larry Correia. My books on Audible, the narrator is Tim Gerard Reynolds, who does a magnificent job as a voice narrator. He also narrates Son of the Black Sword. He also narrates these books, and then he also narrates Tim Gerard Reynolds. I forgot to mention. Also narrates Red Rising. So if you like Tim Gerard Reynolds as a voice narrator, he not only narrates my books, but he narrates these also. So let's put my good friend Larry Correia, and of course Larry signed all my books because I'm around him all the time. So we'll put Larry Correia as number 17. Number 16 is going to be a great author that I get compared to. This is the author that my books get compared to most. And so, and that is John Gwynne with his Malice, his, what's the name of this series? I can't remember that. Oh, the Faithful and the Fallen. Yeah, the Faithful and the Fallen. He's also got this series, The Shadow of the Gods, which is the Bloodsworn series, and then he has Time of the Dread, which is another series. So we're going to go at number 16 with John Gwynne. That's a great pick right there. Number 15 is another John, and that is John Scalzi. And I'm not going to hold up all of his books. He's got a ton of them. But John Scalzi is one of my favorite of all-time science fiction writers. And this is one of my favorite books of his, Red Shirts. So we're going to put John Scalzi at number 12. That's a simple choice. He belongs on the list. He's already kind of a legend in the field. And then at number 14, we're going to put Fonda Lee in the Jade City trilogy. The Green Bone Saga. This is a great, I loved these. Some of my funnest reviews are when I reviewed this trilogy. I also met Fonda Lee at the Dragon Steel convention. Brandon Sanderson, she signed my books too. So coming in at number 14 is Fonda Lee in our modern science fiction fantasy writers countdown. 10 books. 10, how many authors are on this countdown? 10, yeah, it's a top 10. Coming in at number 13 in our top 10 is everyone's favorite Joe Abercrombie. The king of, well, one of the kings of Grimdark. Just awesome. In fact, we got a bunch of Grimdark coming up here soon. The Blade itself was probably the first book he wrote. I think, no, it's not probably. I think it was the first one. And then, of course, he's got a lot of other books. A Little Hatred is part of another trilogy. But we're going to go with Joe Abercrombie. Great modern author. I call him the Quentin Tarantino of fantasy because his dialogue just reminds me of a Quentin Tarantino movie. Coming in at number 12 on the top 10 list is R. Scott Baker. Yeah, this guy didn't publish his stuff until the early 2000s, but R. Scott Baker, Dark, Grim, and Dark, the Prince of Nothing series. I think there's 7 or 8 books in the series. I have them all down there sitting on the shelf. Anyway, yay for R. Scott Baker for making the top 10, sort of. Coming in at number 11 is another great author, and that is Ken Liu. The Grace of Kings, the Dandelion Dynasty series by Ken Liu with the gorgeous covers, also published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press, who published my books. But The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu he also made the top 10, nearly. Now let's get to the top 10. This is where the books get dynamite and the stuff that I just really love. Not that those others weren't dynamite, but I'm going to go with Mark Lawrence. Just kick off the top 10. Of course, he's got his Prince of Thorns series right here. The Red Sister series. I know I'm not naming the series correctly, but this is the Book of the Ancestor. That's one of his series. This is the Red Queen's War, book 1 right here. And then he's done a lot of books, and this is the first book of the Ice right here. So Mark Lawrence comes in at number 10. We're finally to the top 10. Mark Lawrence kicked it off in high fashion. And then we're going to go with another great writer that I just discovered about 5 months ago. And this is Anthony Ryan. I love this guy's books. Pariah was book 1 in the Covenant of Steel series. And then I have not read this series yet, but it's the Draconius Memoria series. This is book number 1 here. And then I have not read this series yet either, The Tide of Black Steel. This is the Age of Wrath series. And then, of course, Blood Song, which I read and reviewed. But, Anthony Ryan finishes here pretty high on my list at number 9 for a guy that I just discovered, a couple weeks ago, months ago, whatever. Coming in at number 8. Oh my gosh. How did this guy not finish number 1? It's probably because there's 7 others that I like better. And that's Andy Weir. He did The Martian. He did Project Hail Mary. He did another book. It's Artemis, I think, is it called? I can't remember. But anyway, Andy Weir. He belongs in the top 10 for sure. This book is 100% bloody and brilliant, as are the other ones that I read of his. Okay, coming in at number 7. And this is another guy that I discovered a couple of years ago that I just love. And this is, I think this guy writes books specifically tailored to my taste. And that is Richard Swan, and he did The Justice of Kings. This is book number 1 in the Empire of the Wolf series. And then he just came out with this series that I think is maybe even kind of, I don't know if it's better. They're equal. Let's just say they're equal. This is the Great Silence. This is Grave Empire. Richard Swan is absolutely just plumb dynamite. Coming in at number 6 in the top 10. Yeah, this is just a classic science fiction series already. They even made a TV show out of this already. And that is James A. Corey. The Leviathan Wakes, the Expanse series, comes in at number 6. Absolutely fantastic. What did this one? When was this one first published? It's got to have been like 15 years ago. But it is still modern. Let's see. 2011. I don't know the math on that. It's 2025 now, so whatever that is. It's after the year 2000, though. So The Expanse and James S.A. Corey comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is another local Utah writer, not very well known though. But I have hung out with him a couple times too and sat on a few writing panels with him. But he's not that well known, but I want to introduce you to this author. Coming in at number 5, his first book was, I think it was published in around 2005 or 2006. But anyway, that's Brandon Sanderson. I think he is the future of fantasy. I said that about 10 years ago, that this guy is the future of fantasy. And my prediction was 100% accurate. So Brandon Sanderson comes in at a solid number 5 in my top 10 modern sci-fi fantasy. And this is another guy that not a lot of people have heard of. But he also did publish his books in the 2000s, and that is Patrick Rothfuss. Comes in at number 4 with, this is The Wise Man's Fear. Book 1 is The Name of the Wind. Book 3, I don't know what it's titled, but I think it's coming out within the next couple days. Let's see, The Lies of Loch Lamore. Scott Lynch. OMG. When I read this book for the first time, I was blown away. Absolutely blown away with the gorgeous writing, the gorgeous language. Just the story was adventurous and exciting, and the characters were witty and cool, and I loved everything about it. And I was just like, this is so good. We'll edit that cough out. So Scott Lynch comes in at number 3. Oh, I was going to show you my signed books. I forgot to show you one of my signed books. Sorry, this will be another edit we'll make. But yeah, Brandon Sanderson, like I said, is a friend of mine too, and he has also. Did he sign this one? Am I lying? Oh yes, he did sign this one to me too. I knew he'd signed all my books. I was just like, what the fuck? I can't find it. Okay, so now we're to the number 1 and 2. The top 2. This is, and I really debated which author decided I was going to put in the number 1 spot, because they both deserve number 1, but I did have to. So the number 2, my number 2 most favorite, best modern sci-fi fantasy author is, of course, my good friend Christopher Ruocchio. That's right, Ruocchio. Empire of Silence. This is his Sun Eater saga. I have done almost a dozen book signings with Christopher Ruocchio. I've sat on writing panels with him. I've hung out with the guy quite a bit. He's one of my favorite people in the business. And he's also signed all of my books. In fact, he signed this one. What did he say? To the next Game of Thrones guy from the next Dune guy. Yeah. From the next Game of Thrones to the... Anyway. Christopher Rocchio finishes in the number 2 position. And the my number one favorite writer that came out in the 2000s, and this guy just blows me away with everything he does. And that is Jay Kristoff with the Nevernight trilogy and the Vampire trilogy. Now I was just watching a video that Jay Kristoff did with Mike's Book Reviews, where Jay Kristoff talked about how 90% of his readership is female. So I mean, we just got to get more dudes reading these books because they are 100% action, adventure, bloody good, brilliant fun, and they are written so impeccably well. I mean, these are the most gorgeously, gothically written books you will ever find, especially the vampire ones. These ones I was like, man, the emos will love this. And then I had read this and I was like, my God, My Chemical Romance, it might just appear in my room as I'm reading this. That's how emo it is. And it's goth, but I mean, don't let the emo, and it's not an insult. I mean, there's nothing wrong with emo. But it is gothic. Very gothic. It's the most gothic writing you'll ever read, and it's gorgeous and luscious and perfect. But don't let that be, and it's not just for the females. These are action adventure, high action adventure, bloody, grim, R-rated, just balls to the wall, awesome books. Sometimes, as I was kind of rereading this one lately, and I was just like, I wish I would have wrote that. So very few books in my world, in my library here of 5,000-6,000 books. There's very few books, and I got another library the same size downstairs as this one, but there's very few books that I'm like, God, I wish I'd written that. This is kind of one of them. I'll be honest with you. That's my top 10 list. Hope you enjoyed it. If there's other authors that have been published recently that you think I missed, like there's about 10,000 romantasy authors that I didn't even make my list. Not because I just haven't read them. But if there's some on there, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that have been published modern that I didn't mention. But go ahead and throw your recommendations down in the comments, please.